Good morning, everybody. I'm Paola Mercogliano from CMCC Foundation, and today I will be the moderator of this CMCC talk held by Guido, Rianna, the new leader of the division SOVAS. And we will talk about enabling informed decision for emergency management to cope with the weather-induced criticalities. Before to start with the speech of Guido, Rianna, I'm briefly going to introduce the CMCC Foundation. First of all, CMCC is a leading research center focused on understanding the interaction between climate change and society. This is only part of our large network. CMCC is also a no-profit foundation. Here is reported our mission. Basically, what we would like to do is to go from the model to the solution for society. We do this using advanced climate research through a multidisciplinary analysis, but we also combine climate modeling with impact assessment and environmental economics, and we support science-driven adaptation and mitigation action. We also have a research infrastructure very relevant for our research. These permit us to combine first-class climate modeling with climate change impact modeling and environmental economics. In the right part of the slide, you can also find our internal structure. Now I'm going to describe briefly this structure. First of all, we have three different research institutes. The first is the Institute for Earth System Prediction. The second one is the Institute for Climate Resilience, and the third one is the European Institute on Economic and Environment. But we also have four different strategic programs. The first one is about the integration of the planetary biogeochemical and industrial carbon cycle. The second one is about the global cost as a new frontier. And then we have the prediction of socioeconomic impact of climate change, and a new one, integrating AI and machine learning in the modeling chain. But we also have different centers supporting the research and the program development. The first one is the High Performance Computing Center, permitting us to run this climate simulation, but general simulation. We have also the Advanced Digital Innovation Center, and we also have the Advanced Training and Education Center. Okay, now let me give you the stage to Guido, Rianna. We will have, first of all, a talk from Guido of about 30 minutes. And during this talk, you will have the possibility to put your question in the Q&A section. And after that, we will have some minutes to talk about your question. If we will be not able to reply to all the questions during the meeting, later, Guido, Rianna will reply to you offline. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning to everyone. Thank you, Paola, for moderating this talk today. As anticipated by her, our goal today is enabling informed decision for emergency management to cope with weather-induced criticalities. So this is more or less the outline of my talk today, but we start with an off-topic because, as anticipated by Paola, in February, I started to lead a new division of CMCC, the SOVAS division. SOVAS stands for Soil and Water Systems Division. The activities of this division started in January 2025. But what is the main goal? The main goal aims to enhance knowledge of the dynamics in the bottom part or lower part of the Earth critical zone. So it represents the interface between the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and upper geosphere, and goes from the bedrock up to the soil surface, including groundwater and surface water. Why this part is particularly interesting for us? Because it's specifically affected as by anthropo-induced change, for example, also hydrological disturbances, has a potential variation induced by climate change. But in which way we want to increase our understanding about this zone? We would like more or less breaking some silos between spatial scale, going from the local to the global, in temporal scale, from sub-daily up to the multi-decadal, and ensuring a full interoperability and bridging the common divide between methods, addressing issues as, for example, slow onset ones, as droughts, and those addressing rapid onset events as floods. To this aim, of course, we would like to explore the availability, the potentialities of physically based approach, machine learning approach, or hybrid ones. So this work, of course, will be framed in the activity of CMCC. We started collaborating with the other division in our Institute for Climate Resilience, and the other institute of CMCC, and we work in consistent way with strategic programs already presented and introduced by Paola. For example, within the framework of a global coast as New Frontier, the division contributes to the development of an integrated, seamless hydrological modeling approach, ensuring continuity between inland and marine waters. As a part of predicting of socioeconomic impacts of climate change, we will work on development of components related to soil and water system, contributing to develop complex modeling chain going from, for example, estimating variation in greenhouse gas concentration up to assessing the impacts on the economy and society. But let's move to the main focus of the today's talk, and the activities that I'm going to present have been carried out within a Horizon Europe project, the HAT. The HAT stands for Human Tech Nexus, building a safe haven to cope with climate extremes. The project started in October 2022. Its duration is 4 years with 26 partners from 12 countries. The project is coordinated by University of Salerno, and the main aim is that of developing, testing, and releasing a suite of innovation to cope with disaster risk reduction and to support disaster risk reduction in 10 demonstrators that are really different for geographical features, for geomorphological characteristics, but also for the weather-induced hazard to be coped. For example, we have fires, drought, heat waves, but also precipitation-induced landslides, floods, and storms. But which are the links among these demonstrators? The two ones are, first of all, the suite of innovation that we are going to develop within the project are characterized by improving and increasing the nexus between three aspects and three main disciplines. Those related to the human behavior, governance and policy, science and technology, because there is no recipe working well for supporting disaster risk reduction, accounting for only an aspect among these three ones. Furthermore, we want to explore properly documenting and reporting all the cross-fertilization amplification process that we are going to address in the project. But which are the three dimensions of amplification that we consider? The first one is those related to stabilizing or speeding up innovation already in place in some demonstrators, but they need to be improved to be speed up fast enough. The second one is amplifying out, so trying to replicate some in similar contexts or for similar issues, innovation that work well in other contexts. The third one is related to the scaling processes. It means, from our point of view, scaling up, so trying to impact slow regulation and policy, scaling deep, trying to impact impacting values and rules, and so the community, but also scaling down. That means translate our innovation in regulation, in predictive model, for example, for early warning system that will be part of this talk. So, in disaster risk management cycle, we are really interested in the art, in prevention and preparedness phase. So we not cover the other aspects, for example, related to the response. Nevertheless, let's move to the core of the today talk, and we are working specifically with the demonstrator tree. Demonstrator tree is one of the two Italian demonstrators. Lattari Mountains. Lattari Mountains is an area in the southern Italy with 32 municipalities with a population of about 450,000 inhabitants. Of course, this area is widely recognized for its artistic value, for the landscape, for food, and so as the reason for which tourism is probably the main economic activity in the area. So we have now more or less 1 million foreign tourists each year, 4 million overnight stays, and incomes for about 500 million. Nevertheless, the area is historically affected by weather-induced hazard. First of all, landslides. Landslides affect pyroclastic covers. Pyroclastic covers are the products of eruption, historical geological eruption in Somma Vesuvio and Campi Flegrei volcanic center, and they occur a special way during the final part of the wet season. We have flash floods affecting very small orographically complex basin, occurring usually in the first part of the wet season, so in autumn. We have fires, special way, of course, in the summer season, but for our purposes, they act as predisposing factors for slope stability issues. Furthermore, affecting crop and assets, the area is recently affected by several severe storms that they appear more dangerous when they occur outside of the wet season. Among the 32 municipalities in the area, we started an effective communication and effective interaction with the municipality of Amalfi. Why? The first reason, of course, their extremely proactive attitude. And so we started collaborating with them, also because Amalfi, the municipality of Amalfi, is a very good example about the features of all the demonstrator. Why? Of course, Amalfi Coast, as you know, is enlisted into UNESCO World Heritage List. The first activity is for socioeconomic point of view is the tourism. We have only in the city, in the municipality, 436 accommodation facilities, about 4,000 beds, in index of territorial touricity of about 57. And so we have also masonry stone walls that really characterize the landscape. So, and they represent, of course, a really famous best practice to cope with weather-induced hazard and landslides in specific. Also, on the other side, also in recent times, municipality of Amalfi was affected by several landslides events, also occurring with failure of masonry stone walls that in dialect are called the macere. And so they created issues not only on the communities, but also on the economy, okay, because they block roads, they block socio-economic activities in the city center. So, interacting with them, so with the major and the main people in charge of civil protection, we understood that the main goal for the area could be that of co-designing, co-developing a web tool enabling informed decision for emergency management. So we have a specific target users that are the components of a municipal operation center, centro operativo comunale in Italian, that the body convened in the occasion of potential emergency as human-induced as natural-induced, supporting the measure, coordinating rescue assistance activities. All the functions in charge of the COC are reported in the slide. But which are, according to them, their main needs? So better understanding of information related to the forecast stage beyond the regional alert bulletin issued over the entire alert area, that is a large area including Amalfi. Better understanding during the monitoring step beyond the simple notification about the rainfall threshold exceedance, improving the monitoring as in terms of variables, as in terms of networks, okay, in areas poorly covered by the official regional network, supporting the selection of the most reliable data sources and interpretation of uncertainties associated with the forecast, exploiting the local knowledge and capitalizing the information already available by different sources. So all these needs are very well aligned with the framework suggested by Brian Golding and colleagues for WMO High Weather Warning Value Chain Project, where the main step of early warning value chain are represented by mountain. The higher the mountain, the more consolidated the expertise associated with such steps, while the link among this expertise, these steps are represented by bridges. These bridges, in many cases, represent the weaknesses or the weak points of the system. So we work specifically in a more consistent way and on such stages. Before starting the collaboration by this activity, we have in mind that the main criticalities, main challenges could be related to finding information related to weather forcing or previous events, assessing hazard and risk conditions associated with weather-induced events, or eliciting stakeholders in co-creation of the outputs. However, as I'm going to display, the main issues, the main needs related to put in the system the available information, complementing it only where needed. So beyond the simple consultation, empowering the value of local expertise, and so making really actionable the information. In a nutshell, putting the system in the data, distilling the information, integrating the knowledge, enhancing the local knowledge. So finally, this is the home page of the under development portal, where the first things that we display, there are this dashboard. This dashboard reports in green, yellow, orange, and red for the different rig gauges and different duration, the value of rainfall as observed of the different duration, and if a specific rainfall threshold is exceeded. Why this information is really important according to the local stakeholders? Because up to now, the same information is only available by the regional functional center official site, where, of course, the precipitation history is reported in terms of hourly value or cumulated over 24 hours, but not with a specific link with the threshold that are active for the specific for the single municipalities. Furthermore, only the main responsible of the local civil protection are informed about the values over threshold and when a threshold is exceeded. So in this case, it is hard also to share the information in a fast way. Last but not least, they are not informed about how far from to reach a specific threshold. So in this case, with a simple representation that we, of course, co-design with the members of the COC, we have information for the different duration and the different rain gauges. Of course, duration rain gauges are as listed in the regional regulations. So the same information is also reported as in the Regional Functional Center website, but accounting for also how far we are from reaching a specific threshold. Furthermore, we put also together in a dimensionalized way all the duration. Why this information is quite important for them? Because usually when the short duration reach the threshold, we can expect in the area the occurrence of hydraulical issues that, for example, flash floods. On the other side, when the longer duration, so the threshold are exceeded or longer duration, usually we are more interested in exploring the potential occurrence and triggering of landslides events. Of course, in this case, by having an idea also about previous rainfall, we have also an idea about antecedent condition that for landslides could be really interesting. We're increasing in situ monitoring in two ways, as said before. First of all, we increase the measurements point of rain gauges in areas not properly covered by the official network. For example, in the upper part of the basin, as you can see in the bottom part of the slides, from which the precipitation usually arrive in Amalfi. So we complement the already existing network. Furthermore, we include measurements about hydrological variables that are, for example, volumetric soil water content that are really interesting as predisposing condition for the occurrence of landslides in the area. Furthermore, we monitor the river discharge of small water course that after will reach Amalfi. So we act with a lead time that could be consistent with the scopes of early warning system, providing also information about hydrological variables that are not included currently in the regional functional center. So we had to this one also information about the state of the art at larger level. For example, in this case, a screenshot from the radar mosaic of the Italian Civil Protection official site. Also in this case, the information is already available, okay? But we put all the information in the same hub, in the same point, and so they simplify in a way the consultation of different information by taking into account the most consolidated, most reliable data sources. For example, in the slides, we also consider weather forecasts, so providing information also for the next day and the day after by considering the information made available by the Mistral Meteo Hub for Italy. So in this case, information by ICON EU Europe. In this way, also the members of the COC can have an idea about the current situation, but also about future time horizon. Furthermore, the same portal can be used also during the peacetime to have a clear idea about the activities to be carried out for example, preparedness on prevention. In these slides, for example, for the Amalfi municipalities are reported in yellow, orange, and red, landslides risk for low, medium, and high, respectively, and as reported in the River Basin District Authority for South Apennine. And so this information, of course, is already available, but we put in the same hub. We overlap to this information as made available by the Municipal Civil Protection Plan, for example, about the gate area, waiting area, area of the community can be supported during the emergencies, but also facilities, as for example, pharmacies or touristic point of main interest, for example, the dome, or the schools that can represent probably vulnerable issues for points for the municipality. But last but not least, we overlap to this information information about hotels and B&B. We recall before that we have 436 facilities in the area. They could be really interesting because the tourists can be seen as vulnerable people from weather-induced hazard point of view, because they are really aware about the artistic, historical value of the areas that I'm going to visit, but they are usually not really aware about the potential vulnerability, potential issues in terms of weather-induced hazard. So it is really important to have information about where these structures are localized, how to provide information and support to them. So we complement this information with a specific citizen science initiative. More in specific, we develop in a Kobo toolbox environment a very simple mobile app permitting to collect information, documentation, photos, reporting by expert user. Okay, we target also in this case our application not for all the communities, but for expert users that in our case are hikers, trekkers from local organizations, but also volunteers of civil protection authorities. And so they are asked to document by photos that could be geolocalized, information about potential vulnerabilities. For example, an area recently affected by fire that could be more vulnerable to weather-induced hazard, or areas needing maintenance. So all these reports are, by using Kobo Toolbox initiative, simply collected and processed and put in the same GIS environment that we have displayed before. Furthermore, we are only an insight about similar initiatives that we are going to develop in other demonstrator, in this case, demonstrator 2 in Valdaran, in the Spanish Pyrenees, where more or less the functionalities of our portals are quite similar, but in this case, they are asked to improve also the monitoring part, so improving the predictive models in early warning system by developing an hybrid physically based data-driven modeling suite. And in the slide, I report more or less the scientific part, so with all the models that are coupled to take into account at the same time from landslides and flooding. On the other side, I report also information about the technological modeling suite that we are going to develop over the demonstrator 2. So all these web portal, all these activities, initiative will be released in 2 ways. A dashboard for desktop that permitting to be used during the peacetime and collecting information also far from potential events. But we will have also a simplified version running on mobile app. This version will be used for providing real-time data from official, informal, and the app monitoring devices, for internal chat, for reporting information by human sentinel, and so on. So the main and the most important information. Take-home messages. So, is a portal enough to effectively support disaster risk reduction? So the answer is clearly no, because it is not in line with the HAT philosophy. And so we are developing in parallel many other initiatives. For example, in collaboration with L'Etat, that is the solution factory of Unipol Insurance Group, we are designing and developing a solution for semi-parametric products that are type of insurance that cover the probabilities of predefined events happening, also without checking the actual loss incurred. It permits to speed up the compensation process because they don't need a specific check after the events. And this payment can be used to cope with all the costs, all the issues and losses suffered just after potential events. There are similar initiatives for other natural hazard, but it is one of the first examples for a weather-induced hazard. Furthermore, we have developed and tested also a serious gaming for high school students. We have tested in the past EGU. We will test in the next EGU in April in Vienna, but we have also locally tested the same game in Italian, also in the Science Fair Futuro Remoto in Naples and Salerno. And the idea, the target of this game is to improve the awareness about the main components of the risk, so hazard, exposure, and vulnerability, and the product of the three component ones. Last but not least, we are also interested to explore the output and the feeling of the single components of the community. In this regard, we have organized three performances from a local playback theater company, but in this case, not specifically in our demonstrator, but in Emilia-Romagna region. Why? Because the area was, as you know, recently affected by four main heavy rainfall events induced, so with a lot of issues and economic losses suffered by the local population. So this activity is also carried out in connection with the other European project working on the same areas. So very last take-home messages. There are no universally valid solutions for all the contests. Attempting to develop general products while ensuring a post-hoc tailoring process, it is complex and so should be avoided because it is hard to try to use the same portal for all the target. It is you should have a clear understanding about of target user needs, skill, timelines. So it is not possible to use the same portal for the public, for community, and after for the members of the COC, for example, Municipal Operations Center. So the portal, according to me, but according to us, really exemplifies the concept of human tech nexus, because we have aspects of human behavior, we have science and technology innovations, but also the governance rules, the laws, for example, the threshold, the members of the COC, and so on. And so all these aspects are inextricably linked and must be considered together to have effective and lasting solution. Of course, I would like to exploit this occasion to thank all my colleagues working on this initiative from CMCC, from University of Salerno, that I recorded before is co-coordinator of the project, but also Arantech, that is a small medium enterprise in charge of portal technological developers, a UPC team that are leading the Valdaran demonstrator. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Guido, for this very nice talk and for all the things that you have described about the HATS European project. Before to open the discussion, I have a quick question for you to start. You mentioned about the dashboard. May I ask if you had the opportunity also to discuss the use of this dashboard with the regional and the national institution managing now the early warning system, and to have their feedback or their interest or their, their additional needs, something like that?
Thank you for your first question. I have to say that we started a connection also within another, of course, work package of the project with all the level of the in charge of civil protection in Italy, so regional center and the national one. So, but specifically, we are really interested into the municipal level for two reasons. The first one is that they are in charge of specific decision with time horizon that in many cases that are hard to be faced. And furthermore, in many cases, they don't have specific knowledge about the main aspects, okay, to be covered. So all the activities that I showed in the portal are very well known by the expert, regional and national. All the opportunities, all the data are very well known by regional and national center. But when you arrive at municipal level, especially for small municipalities, they are not really aware about which are the opportunities of data. And so they said, okay, probably we don't have enough data. We don't know where we can find this data. And so the real challenge for us is making this data in a form that could be really usable, accessible from them, okay? Because this is our challenge. The other things that we are interested in is that, as you know, municipalities are really interesting because they cope with different time horizon, okay? They are in charge of early warning, all the disaster risk reduction, but on the other side, they are also interested to explore longer time horizon because, of course, urban planning are in charge of that. And so they are the main users in many demonstrators in the art because they put together different time horizon we are interested to explore and investigate in our project.
Okay, thank you. And also one other curiosity that I have, you mentioned about the additional in situ station that you provided over the Italian site, over Amalfi. May I ask if, because of course you presented a soft adaptation measure that could be very useful, for example, in the municipality that are making adaptation plan. This could be a solution that they can use to increase, to decrease their vulnerability in the context of extreme event. May I ask if the cost could be, because sometimes the main problem that we have with the municipalities is that they don't have money, they don't have a lot of money for this. May I ask if, do you think that this could be a solution that could be usable for all the municipalities or not?
Yeah. No, I have to say that thanks, first of all, thank you for your question because permitting me to clarify another aspects. Okay, when we select the sensor, we were really interested in exploring the potentiality of low-cost IoT sensors. That means sensors that could be easily installed with a small amount of money. Okay, but all of us should be really aware about what could be done or not done by this sensor. Okay, they provide we are not really interested in the actual value of volumetric water content because there are some issues related to calibration or maintenance of solar panels and so on. But we are really interested in exploring the potentiality of these sensors to provide information about their predisposing condition. Okay, for example, compared to the usual condition in the wet season, how far from the saturation in the soil? Okay, we are not interested in the low value. On the other side, I have to say that for municipality, the actual challenge is not buying the sensors, okay? Because as said before, we selected the low-cost sensor, but the maintenance, okay? Because this sensor needs maintenance, for example, also for the area in which they are installed to ensure that the solar panels is well maintained. So usually, but not only in municipalities, we have many opportunities where the sensors are bought, acquired, are installed, but after are left in the monitoring site without a proper maintenance. So for me, according to me, the actual value during the project, the time or span of the project is to convince the municipal operators that they can really support, okay, their work, because after they will be left in charge of them, okay, after the end of the project. And so it would be really interesting if they can support their maintenance and their adoption also after the act will end.
Thank you, Guido. And the really last curiosity that I have is about the theater, because for me it's very innovative, and I really personally believe that to use the art in the scientific project could be a good way to involve citizens and society. May I ask how you manage and how easy it was to work with the artists, because we are an art scientist? May I ask something also to encourage the scientists that are here to use this kind of activity in their project? What about this activity? Can you describe more?
Yes, thank you. Thank you again for the question. So, we of course reported in also grant agreement the opportunity and the possibility of exploring the potentialities of science and art innovation for our project. But when we started the project, we understood that their potentiality that probably we underestimated during the drafting part. And so we had very good feedback about the involvement of the communities, about the feedback, also the answers from the community. It is hard, okay, there is some silos to be broken, okay, when we put in at the same table different communities, artists, scientists, and community, because it is hard also have the same jargon, because their time horizon, their opportunities, also the ways through which they want put in place on the set, the activities quite different. So we, in our case, one of our selling point was that of selecting local playback theater companies that are really aware about the local conditions. So, for example, in Emilia-Romagna, we selected a local company. In some cases, some of the members of the theater company were affected by the same flooding on which they are carrying out the performances. So, only in these ways, they have clearly aware where the main location where the shows could be carried out, performed, and so on. So the issue is also in this case, working with local communities and trying to breaking the silos, okay? Because for them, okay, before each representation, we had some weeks in which we started interaction between scientists and artists to understand which could be the issues to be covered, in which way, which are the correct terms, and so on. And only after this stage we can start, okay, the playback, the performance. So that is left to them, because I'm not, of course, skill or expertise on this part.
Thank you, Guido. This is a very interesting point. We have one question from the audience, from Anton Nor. He asking, you mentioned a few demonstrator sites. Can you share where the other demonstrator locations are that you did not mention? I saw that there is also one on the north of Germany. Can you add more on this?
Yes, I'm going to share again my slides. And okay, one of the, okay. Oh, sorry. This is the map of demonstrator is this one. Probably you can see on my screen. Okay, we have two in Italy that are Lattari Mountains, and the second one in Ogliastro region in Sardinia, where the main issue is to cope with forest fires. Also, in this case, we are investigating design and development of insurance product. We have two demonstrators also in Spain. The first one is Val d'Aran in Spanish Pyrenees for flash flood and landslide. The second one in Valencia, that where the main issue, where the project started, was heat wave and droughts. But so now they are trying to put together in the system also the potential issues related to flooding as experienced during the last autumn. After, we have demonstrator in Switzerland, the Bern canton, where we have, of course, snow avalanche, but also flash flooding. Tisza River Basin in the Hungary, demonstrator 7. And this area, we are coping with development of a portal that they call it WITS24, Water 24, that permitting to have, also in this case, for early warning expert information about the potential occurrence of a fluvial and now pluvial flooding. In the Northern Europe, we have 3 demonstrators. The first one is demonstrator 4, Vilnius, where the main issue is related to urban flooding. Demonstrator 5 is actually located in Germany. It is led by Arion, and so it is focused on the coastal area, in the specific way in the area of Glockstadt, so very close to Hamburg. And so in this case, we are interested to explore also the link between coastal and pluvial flooding, but it is specifically important because the dam leaders in this case are really expert on art and science. So this is probably the main interface for this activity, and so they are carrying out specific activities on for stakeholder involvement, for trying to improve all the activity related to science and art. Demonstrator 9 in Dorset Bay in UK, and so where the Met Office and BGS are working on improving the monitoring and also the collaboration with the local council to support the early warning system. Finally, in the north, we have the Iceland. So we have in these fjords a test case where they are really interested to address all the issues related to snow avalanches, landslides, and flash flooding. But it is really important also this test case from my point of view and for the purposes of this talk today, because there they are developing a portal, okay? But this web portal, it's not aimed at supporting decision makers or people in charge of civil protection, but for the communities, providing information also about how to cope with events. So we cannot transfer simply information from their portal, from our portal to the other ones, but they are working on a different activity line. So this is, we have tried to put together different weather-induced data, different socioeconomic contexts, and the real challenge is trying after understanding how to report and documenting the amplification and the transfer processes.
Thank you, Guido. We have also another question from Loran Alfonso. Thank you for the presentation. Very interesting and inspiring. I am particularly interested in human Tech Nexus and think you find a great balance in the project. My question is, how do you think, or now in giving access to public at the platform as they are contributing through the app, finally as cross-sourcing, what could be the structure of the platform or dashboard to involve the stakeholders? I hope it was clear. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for, I would like to thank the attendees for this question. So in this case, in which ways the 3 aspects of the Nexus are included in the portal? First of all, we have a issue related to the governance, okay? Because in many cases, the people in charge of local civil protection are not really aware about all the governance policies and regulation supporting their processes and the decision-making process. So we are, in this case, trying to put in the same app all the information that have already available from these sources in the same app, in a way that has been checked with them. After we start, but from the first stages of the portal development, we started an effective collaboration interaction with them. So more or less one time a month or one time each 2 months during the active stages for them, that is the summer season, we had meeting among us, to describe for each part of the portal, it is in line for their understanding, for their knowledge, if for them it is feasible and usable in this way. And on the science and technology, we tried of using, of implementing simple things, okay? Because, for example, the sensors that I've already introduced, representing very economic sensors, but up to now, they were not used by them, okay? But they are not, and also the regional early warning system does not take into account hydrological variables leading to the process. So they are simple innovation from science and technology that can support the process. Last but not least, from my point of view, the real actual nexus could be the citizen science mobile app that we have developed within the project. Why? Because we have a sort of, we call them to a active participation in the process, okay? And so we select expert users because to start this interaction. And so they are asked to support the knowledge of the territory, because of course local knowledge is crucial to have a clear idea about what could be expected in the area. So probably the mobile app that we are testing now is the real good example of that. I have to say that this mobile app has been tested and been released in very simple way. So this is a platform, an environment, the Kobo Toolbox that is easily available also for not use expert. I have developed it by myself, okay, the application. I'm not an expert in coding or similar for mobile app, but it is very intuitive. So it needs few days, okay, to implement a version that could be usable.
Okay, Guido, we have another question about from Charlotte of Pasque. You talked about amplifying by growing, same innovation in a similar context. Do you have examples of that in practice? Did the municipality connect with each other?
Yes, we have different examples, okay, of transfer a replication of these activities. Because first of all, because they are set in the project, but in many cases they are also transferred during the project. For example, the serious gaming that we have developed for landslides has been transferred to other contexts, for example, in Valencia, and has been tailored to cope with the waves, in German pilot to cope with flood. So we carried out the work as developers, and after we transfer and they tailor according to the language, to specificity of the system. Furthermore, all the knowledge that we had about the sensors and the monitoring were being fastened up also by the presence within the consortium of really experts, for example, from BGS in UK, but also from UPC in Barcelona, and they support the selection of our sensor in our demonstrator, and so they could work with them to share this information. Furthermore, we have another ideas, other examples related to nature-based solution, and so guidelines that have been developed for demonstrator in Sardinia or in Bern, where a common knowledge has been shared. But on the other side, we have also a climate-proofing planning activity that as CMCC, of course, we have carried out for the two test cases in Vilnius, and after will be transferred in Hungary. So this is an important part of the process, because we have more or less, based on the state of the art, identified a framework, but each 3 months we report and document how the amplification process are carried out for the different stages. For example, in demonstrator 7, that is Tizza River Basin, they have already released VITS 24 as app, but they said, okay, at the initial part of the project, we need to improve the monitoring part, to improve these different aspects. And after, during the project, they worked in collaboration with the other demonstrator to improve this part. For example, now they are working now on include also again, evaluation about volumetric water content sensor that they have already in place, but they use it up to now only for droughts, only as predisposing condition for flooding events. So these are some flavors, okay, about how the amplification process is carried out within that project.
Thank you, Guido. There is another question from Philip Stanzel. Very interesting case study. You emphasized that one tool cannot easily be transferred to other locations and that the co-design needs to be very specific to local needs. Paola already asked about the cost. Could you describe the timeline and duration and related cost of a project to set up such a tool for one region in a good co-design setup?
Okay, so of course it is hard to identify all the costs, okay, because there are the human component that could be, but I have to say the human costs are the higher. It is not hard for the, we can discuss also later, but the technological part, the development of the portal does not represent the main costs for this initiative, okay? Because of course, as said before, they have been tailored, but all the components, in many cases, already exist. Also, for example, weather forecast, they are really easy to be retrieved, also in this case by using API. So all the technological part development is not the bottlenecks of the process. The real process and the real costs are connected to human people and to start interaction with the local municipality. As the reason for which I said in the initial part of the talk that we started an effective communication with the Amalfi municipality because thanks to their really proactive attitude, because the main bottlenecks is related to this one. But about the monitoring, I suppose that all the sensors that we have put in place cost less than €7,000, and they need low maintenance, but they need maintenance in a way. All the communication are related by a Wi-Fi of an house very close to the installation site. So all this part can cost less than we expected. So the main costs are related to actual co-development and to understand during the process if the design is in line with what was expected. So, but we already started discussion about after the end of the project. According to the municipality of Amalfi, it is feasible to them, okay, to support its maintenance. Of course, if additional features should be increased, there should be added, they need cost, but maintenance could be a minor cost for them.
Okay, Guido, we have another technical question. Very nice project. I have a technical question. How is the IoT connected to community by mobile connectivity?
Yeah, we use in this case mobile connectivity. So we we avoid in this case LoRaWAN connection or similar one, but we use mobile connectivity. The main issue in the area is has been not the connectivity, so the transmission, but the power supply. Okay, because we are interested in investigating the dynamics in Deep Valley. And so Deep Valley during the winter has not reached for many hours during the days by solar panels. So I have to say that I forgot to mention during the talk that we started with the solar panel, but it proved to be too small for our needs during the winter, and so we replaced it with the larger one. So the main issue is not related to transmission, but only in this case because there are some houses close to the installation points. Also in this case, thanks to their propension to collaborate with us, we have the possibility to use their mobile line to transmit to our portal, but the main issues was related to power supply because we have no possibility to use directly power supply from houses or similar.
Okay, thank you, Guido. We don't have any other question. Of course, if you would like to contact Guido, you can contact by email. I want to thank you all the audience to be here today for this webinar. I want also thank Guido for explaining us part of the work that is making in the HAT European project. And thank you, everybody, and see you to the next webinar of CMCC. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.